So today we'll discuss Module 5, Challenges in Implementing the Nexus and Emerging Issues. The outline of this module will be covering 6 points. The first point will cover quickly the objective. The second will discuss the challenges of the Nexus approach. The third one will summarize the Nexus, some Nexus cases in Africa. The fourth will discuss solutions to address each of the identified challenges. The fifth will discuss quickly the impact of the COVID-19. And the conclusion will discuss about the key finding. Introduction. The Agenda 2063 is a set of initiatives proposed and currently being implemented by the African Union. It was adopted on January 21st, 2015 at the 24th Ordinary Assembly of the Head of State and Government of the African Union in Addis Ababa. The state objectives of the agenda are economic development, political integration, improvement of democracy and justice, establishment of security and peace, strengthening of culture, identity, and Pan-African ideals, gender equality, and political independence from foreign powers. The COVID-19 pandemic emerged at a time when the outlook was bright for many African countries. At the start of 2020, Africa was well placed to continue its economic development, expected to increase from 2.9% in 2019 to 3.2% in 2020 and 3.5% in 2021. Significant progress recorded in poverty reduction and in health indicators. The first case of COVID-19 of the African continent was reported on February 14, 2020. As of May 13, case has been reported in all 54 countries. As of May 18, 2020, the virus are infected 4.6 million people and claim about more than 300,000 lives worldwide. At the same date, the figures correspondent for Africa were 84,183 cases and 2,739 deaths. Most African countries reacted quickly, imposing quarantines, lockdowns, and border closures. This course will cover the main challenges encountered by countries in implementing the NEXUS approach, directions on how to meet each of the challenges, the negative consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic, and impact on progress towards the SDGs and Agenda 2063. The objective of this presentation. The first one is to highlight the challenges faced by countries in implementing the NEXUS approach, provide guidance on how to address each of the challenges identified above, publicize the negative consequence of COVID-19 in certain countries. What are the challenges of the NEXUS approach? The most frequent issues encountered are budgetary support and fragmented financing, political will and divisions between actors, weak institutions, poor communication and coordination, a lack of the whole of government approach, lack of strategic focus and/or strategic planning and human capacity, debt and lack of financial risk management, engage leadership and define responsibility, lack of support from civil society and private sector. Several studies has been done. One of the studies done by Zenten in 2020, the success of SDGs depend on the solving Nexus challenge. The success of the Nexus depends largely on social economic development and empowerment at the local level, and localization imply a shift from external to international to national and local. Localization should be pushed as a cheap, short alternative, as a quick fix to development. If taken seriously, this innovation may prove to be more costly initially, but worth the opportunity cost to promote local empowerment and effectiveness. What are the main challenges? First, budget support. Budget support is the support received by government from donors without clear condition. For many African countries, external development assistance represents a significant part of public expenditure. Therefore, the ways in which aid flows are managed is an important factor affecting the quality of budget policy and projects across Africa. Political will. Political will is at the service of development of the economy. Political will is the incentive to follow through on state commitment and law, say Jennifer Koch, African Program Director at the Center of Strategic and International Studies in Washington. Conflict. Many of the current conflicts are motivated by prospect of political power or financial gain, with armed groups fighting to acquire precious mineral resources, assert their ideology and settle their grievances. Instability and security. 16 African countries are suffering from sustained armed conflict. While, while each results from its own circumstances, a few reasons are obvious. The first being the role of governance. And this one is coming from the African Center for Strategic Study. I think the current news now in West Africa, we have two countries, Guinea and Mali, which are unstable due to the coup that we witnessed the last couple of months. Social and economic inequalities. Seven of the top of the 10 most unequal countries in the world are located in Africa, and mainly in Southern Africa. A summary of the Nexus cases in Africa. The first cases is Somalia, local governance and the necessity for the triple nexus. It's a paper done by Medinila and et al. In 2019. The main conclusion of the paper are a shift from a heavy dependence on humanitarian aid to a nexus approach is required to achieve a sustainable solution. The challenge is the linkage between the short-term humanitarian aid with the long-term development cooperation. Nexus approach cannot be implemented top-down, and localizing the nexus can energize otherwise abstract policy concept. International support effort move beyond the state of re-engineering local development and basic service delivery. The absence of consensus implies jockeying for political settlement with compromises between parties, which in turn intend pacifying the political elite while they pursue state building. Peace building may be the weakest link in the triple nexus. Security, stabilization predominate, whereas peace building is the bottom-up, socially and relationally oriented, albeit increasingly paired with security intervention. Coordinating sectoral intervention to reinforce gain. The second case is for Mali, the failure to realize an integrated bottom approach. The Nexus approach has failed dismantly in Mali. Despite that the UN, AU, EU, and ECOWAS have attempted to implement a triple nexus, they identified three major problems. The lack of a long-term vision which supports the government of Mali in providing services and security, the prioritization of security over long-term peace building, especially by actor, and the exclusion of local actor in planning and implementing processes by international actors. There's a paper written by Talk and his colleague where they find that this nexus failed because of focusing on security disproportionately. A difficult relationship exists between international humanitarian actors and their local counterparts, often blamed on the lack of cultural awareness and political sensitivity, and a sustained asymmetric power relationship without promoting local empowerment. The same paper finds that the lessons to be learned are mainly to be cautioned about the assumption that breaking down bureaucratic silos can render distinct but compatible at-risk activity more effective. Instead, arguing that the domain-specific actor should introspect more on the goal of their own work aspiration. The Malian situation does not represent a proper implementation of the nexus, since the pillars were not linked to a genius principal nexus approach. Next case, South Sudan. Localization and the nexus within the nexus, done in 2020. The potential emphasis on the local leadership and the development of national and local systems to accountably provide essential social services offers the opportunity for more sustainable, appropriate, and transformative responses. In the humanitarian sector, there are multiple drivers towards localization. The risk-averse Northern Link international system ignore the value of local knowledge and exclude local and national ownership. Importantly, nationalization does not equal to localization. A rigorous typology of local actor is prescribed as a core to distinguish between community-based women group, religious association, or traditional authority on one hand, and formalized capital-based civil society organization on the other. The DeWolf paper of 2019 focused the study on the triple nexus of localization and local faith actor and provide that the inclusion is essential, but being meaningful that 80% of the world population has some faith orientation, and in the light of the exclusion of FBA's faith-based actor. Oftentimes, faith-based leaders are regarded as a sole barrier of credibility and recognition, which can be used both to lobby international community support and negotiate peace between warring rival ethnic community. Two positive examples of the Nexus implementation. Firstly, the Caritas South Sudan has provided humanitarian response, capacity building and development programs, as well as supporting peace building initiatives such as peace building broadcasts on radio stations. Secondly, the Danish Church Aid and its partner implement the Generating Sustainable Livelihood and Leadership for Peace project, which, which is comprised of interrelated long-term outcomes, including resilient livelihood for food security, social cohesion, and peaceful conflict resolution. NGOs are often criticized for short-term project implementation with no definable impact, leaving artifact to incomplete project when they exit to the detriment of the local community. A solution to address each of the identified challenges. Action must be communicated, integrated, and coordinated while respecting the distinct roles and identity of the stakeholders. Flexible funding and adaptive programming allow for more dynamic and appropriate responsibility through the promotion of rapid learning cycles and malleable management. A rigorous typology of local actor is prescribed as core to distinguish between community-based women group, religious association, or traditional authority on one hand, and formalized capital-based civil society organization on the other hand. Local faith actors across these pillars have assisted to minimize internal fragmentation and secure peace in keeping with the IGAG peace process by undertaking awareness and messaging campaign, community level peace building, and advancing people-to-people approach to peace. Baraka and Milton 2020 recognized that to fulfill its potential, we require not just an imminent shift of resources to local actors, but also a much more sustainable long-term approach to nurturing local capacity. De Wolf and Wilkinson propose that great recognition of the role and value of LFAs, which strengthen the relationship and network could benefit the triple nexus immensely. What are the impact of the COVID? A couple of questions has been asked during the survey, and one of the questions is, in your opinion, in your country, what effect has the COVID had? And basically, we noticed that in most of the country, it's recognized that the COVID had a limited effect. This is the orange bar. And after that come no effect, which is the gray bar. And after you have largely negative impact effect, which is the blue bar. So basically, it's what has been noticed in overall that COVID has less impact in Africa than in other parts of the world. So when asked what is the biggest largely negative effect, most of the time is the first one is development, second human rights, humanitarian issues, the fourth is the interlinkage, the fifth is the peace, and sixth is the governance. When asked the question, what is the largest no effective response is by all the peace, governance, development, interlinkage, and so on. The biggest limited effect is interlinkage. In terms of limited positive effect is governance, and the largely positive effect is humanitarian issue where rank above the other who also score one response. So in terms of recommendation, the Rwanda case is taken as a good example. So in Rwanda, what's happened? They increase the self-sufficiency in food crops, they modernize agriculture production, they increase the value added in agricultural products, they increase the food processing capacity in the country, they support manufacturing sector through better access to low-cost raw material, better access to TVET curricula with job marketing requirement, promote and enhance technological skills and innovation through TVET training programs. Another case for good recommendation is the Angola case, where they also increase self-sufficiency in food crops, they modernize the agricultural production, increase the value added in agricultural products, uh, enhance people competency in redesign the organization, shift focus on customer, deployment of digital tools and techniques. They also promote and enhance technological skills and innovation through education and training program. A better alignment of TVET curricula to improve human capacity and better matching with job market requirements, create efficient and agile supply chain processes. The retraining and repurposing of personnel to develop the skills needed for the new operating model, reorient the development plan to more labor-intensive activities. In terms of key findings, the gap analysis revealed that budgetary support and fragmenting financing, followed jointly by political will and division between actors and then weak institutions are the major challenges. Participants were vocal in their aspiration call for a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth, followed by an Africa of good governance, then jointly a peaceful and secure Africa tied with an Africa whose development is people-driven. The greatest single obstacle for both the Africa we want and the SDG was conflict, instability, and insecurity, followed cumulatively by social and economic inequality and political challenges. That these challenge match confirm the magnitude of the task at hand and the necessity for a novel approach to prevail. COVID-19 was identified as a major challenge for progressing the interlinkages. Thank you for your attention.